All right, friends, let's settle in. Let's just get physically comfortable. Once you do that, just allow your eyes or your gaze to soften. And then once you do that, just turn your attention inward. For as much as you are grounded through your seat and lessening the distractions to your eyes, really bring all of your attention to that breath. Just really usher yourself, almost like you're inviting yourself back into this present moment. Whatever has pulled you away throughout the day-to-day, just with each breath, move a little further from that. Coming back to the here and the now. And just notice how that breath feels. Notice how the body feels. Notice how the mind feels as you close your eyes and you let the distractions go. Sometimes we fall into that sense of ease very easily, and sometimes there are parts that just resist. And so just be aware of that. Reminding ourselves this truly is a practice of awareness. And then whatever you're noticing about the breath, see if you can slow it down just a bit. Just increasing the length of your inhale just ever so slightly. And then increasing that exhale again just ever so slightly. Until you start to find this beautiful, just sweet rhythm of the in and the out. And I would invite us all just to check in with what the impact of this day has been. Were there moments of peace and calm and stillness and ease? Were there moments of discord and frenzied activity and busyness? Were there moments where things were just kind of neutral? And were there moments that were big? Either big in the celebratory way or big in the frustrating and the annoying and the disappointing way. And just feel the impact of today, of how you've shown up in this moment. Reminding ourselves we don't have to get good enough or get peaceful enough to be able to meditate, but rather we bring ourselves to the here and the now. And with each breath of intention, we let those things go. And so just allow yourself just to do that. Their impact has been felt. And now the impact is done. And just be here. And as we've been journeying through the Yoga Sutras, we're on this beautiful section of the practice of yoga. The practice of the movement, of the meditation, of the breath, of the mindful strategies in our lives. And as we settle on this one particular aphorism, this Yoga Sutra 2.5, it's talking about our level of self-awareness. In Sanskrit, we call that Avidya, or our lack of self-awareness. And there's a cautionary piece to what the author gives us here. He says Avidya, or this lack of awareness, and some people even translate it as ignorance, a lack of understanding. He says this avidya causes you to believe that the impermanent things in your life are permanent. And so just think about that for a second. This lack of true self-awareness, it makes us think that things that really are impermanent, we believe that they're permanent, that they're lasting. So think about the impact of today. Those hard moments, those busy moments. Maybe there were confusing moments or loud and noisy moments, and sometimes we feel like they'll never end. But what the author, what Patanjali is saying, he says, until you really cultivate this keen sense of awareness, this acute awareness that meditation gives you, you get stuck in those moments of the day and you think that they're permanent. And if you're not careful, they skew your sense of reality. And so as you reflect on today, just see if there were any of those moments where frustration came, or annoyance, or inconvenience, or all the things, however it looked for you. And even after the thing or the event passed or was done, the frustration or the annoyance lingered. That's what he's talking about. He's saying we take these things that come into our life, these seemingly benign events, these actions by other people, these messages on our computer, these alerts on our phone, all these things, and they create this response within us. There's a stimulus, and we respond. And what he's trying to help us to see is that response, that's not the part that borrows us trouble. It's when we can't move beyond the response. The thing comes in, we become a little annoyed. The thing is over, and we're still annoyed. We've taken this impermanent thing, this temporary moment of the day, and we've convinced ourselves in our version of reality that it's permanent. We've committed these resources of our energy and our attention to it, when in truth, it was quite impermanent. Even if it lasted for many minutes or an hour or a chunk of the day. He says we must become so aware that we really understand the impermanence of all of these parts of life so that we don't get stuck. And so let's just each pause for just these next few breaths and just check in and see if there are parts in our emotions, parts in our head, in our energy, where we've gotten a little stuck, where there are things that we need to turn loose of. And as you reflect, just know we don't come to meditation to make ourselves feel guilty or to think that we've done something wrong. Rather, we just come to learn a little more about ourselves, about these conditioned ways of being that we've kind of gotten used to. But as much as we conditioned ourselves that direction, we can condition ourselves back the other way. That is the beauty of this practice. And so I want us just to sit and just each of us in our own space, in our own mind, our own memories, our own experiences. Each of us just reflect on what are the impermanent parts of life that you've taken to be permanent? What are the frustrations or the regrets or the resentments or the anger? All those emotional responses to things that we've gotten stuck in. And again, it's not about making ourselves feel bad, but we need to check in and see which things have a foothold in our thoughts, in our way of seeing the world, so that we know which things we can begin to commit to let go of. So just pause. Breathe. And let your reflection be one that is gentle and compassionate. What impermanent parts of life have you convinced yourself to be permanent? And as you notice what's coming up for you, notice how it makes you feel. Notice how you begin to realize how much energy you've committed to something that really wasn't worthy of your energy. How much attention and focus you've given to something that was not the best place to give your attention and your focus. And if we were all to begin to audibly share what our thing was, we'd find that we each have something very unique to us. My thing may seem really neutral and benign to everyone else, and your thing may seem really neutral to me. And so this is something really close to our own hearts. Something about our own lived experience, whatever these things are. Which means that the only person who can first recognize them and second, sit with them in order to let them go is us. Someone else can't guide us through it or do the work for us. We have to recognize it in our lives. We got to kind of sit with it for just a bit to understand why. Why does it have such a strong foothold in our emotions, in our energy, in our attention? And then as we realize the true impermanence of it, we commit to let it go. And for most of us, what we'll find is it will come again. And then we will commit again to let it go. Until little by little, a little more release each time, its hold in our life, in our energy, in our attention, becomes less and less and less. And then we truly see how impermanent it really was all along. And so as we just sit with whatever that thing or those couple of things are for each of us, let's do it from a place of really wanting to cultivate self-awareness, to know ourselves so well that eventually we begin to make really good choices for ourselves. We direct our energy. We choose the emotional response to things. We decide how long to persist and to focus on something, instead of letting these emotions just carry us away before we even realize that it's happened. And so let's just sit, first with awareness, then with a little grace in the middle, followed by a commitment to begin to let that thing go. And as you continue just to breathe and to be and to notice, I want to just share just one more piece of perspective that I think will help with this. You know, the Buddhist teaching has wonderful advice for all spiritual traditions. Some of these ideas that have come through these teachings, they work for all groups of people because they talk about suffering, which is something common to every group, every belief system, every culture. But what the Buddha's teaching says is, first off, suffering happens to all of us. But second of all, suffering is impermanent. And the only time that it stays and becomes permanent is because we force it to. And so just think about your day and this thing or these things that you've reflected on. If we don't let them go, we actually end up creating suffering for ourselves. And I don't know about you, but that hurts my heart to think that I've missed something today because I was so busy creating suffering for myself. That there was a moment that I didn't get to experience because I was too focused on what I thought was this permanent thing that was making me suffer. And I hope that you feel like I do. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to miss any moments. And so I want to realize that yes, there are hard moments in our day. And yes, our emotions will be pricked and activated and triggered a little bit. But it's up to us how long that suffering lasts. There are too many beautiful moments in the day to waste them. I want to see them all. Avidya. And the scholars tell us that when you take the A off of that word from Sanskrit, now you have Vidya. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So as we go through our day tomorrow, let's take that with us. This increase in our self-awareness and this journey toward Vidya. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Let's not waste any of these beautiful present moments that we are so blessed to get to experience. Let's not let the suffering bog us down. Let's feel it, let's recognize it, and let's let it go. Namaste.